This is J. Krishnamurti's 10th discussion with students in Malibu, California, 1969.
It seems to me that to be indifferent is to have sort of the opposite state of mind as freedom, because in freedom the mind should be very sensitive to things, whereas if you're indifferent, it's very dull and tends to ignore things.
I wonder what we mean by indifference. Indifferent to what?
Perhaps when one, it's like, perhaps that's what they mean when they say they don't give a damn. Not caring, being insensitive to something.
You use several words in the description of your indifference, callousness, and so forth. That's all part of what you mean by indifference.
No, indifference. I'm indifferent to what is happening in Los Angeles ghetto. I can't do anything, so I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent.
Might not be able to do something and still not be indifferent.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, what do we mean by indifference?
That you're isolated from the question, from what is happening around you?
If you suffered, I didn't know you or I knew you casually, I can't do anything. And therefore, would you call me indifferent? No. I'm not indifferent to what is to the starvation that's going on in the East. It's there. I can't do anything. In the sense, actually supply food. Or somebody is murdered, the mother is crying, or the father, or the husband. There it is. I'm so awfully sorry. I'm not indifferent. I wonder what we mean by indifference.
It's just that it doesn't matter to you.
Indifference is different than not being able to do something. And there's nothing that we can physically, we can't feed the people in India, but that's, physically, but that's different than not caring about the fact that they're suffering and so forth. And that's what indifference is. It's not caring about.
Would you say indifference is lack of sensitivity?
So how do you decide you can't do anything? I mean,
No, forget what I can do, can't do. Lack of sensitivity.
Yeah.
I am aware what's happening in Los Angeles. I'm aware of what's happening in India.
Or I might not be very aware. That's why I might be indifferent.
I'm aware.
I might
read
know
the
about it, but not very deeply.
I read the papers or talk to people or know what's happening, or I have letters and so on. And from that, I feel I am sensitive. It's a lack of sensitivity that indicates indifference, isn't it?
Isn't it also a form of an escape from the problem?
Or not wanting to face the problem. To me, it implies a turning away, not wanting to get close to it, not wanting to go into it.
Indifference sort of implies that you are aware of it.
No, if I ran away, if I escaped from it, I'm not sensitive enough to be aware of it. I think that's the clue to this, isn't it? To be sensitive implies that one can't be callous. Then the question is, how is one to be sensitive?
Why isn't one sensitive?
Why is not one sensitive? Is it a thing to be cultivated? Go to college to learn to be sensitive? As they are going now to colleges to learn creative writing.
The new thing they call sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training.
indifference, I think, means fear too. I mean, you sort of, it's a way of protecting yourself.
Yes,
from
of
what
course,
you're afraid of.
that's how, all that's understood. We've gone a little bit further. We say, I know I'm callous or indifferent, and therefore I'm insensitive. And then I ask myself, what way can I be sensitive? How do I become sensitive? To be aware of my environment, to be aware of my own problems, not to, to be aware, to be sensitive to things.
I see that reason why I'm not sensitive is because I'm full of inertia and laziness too. I'm not that alive.
So is it laziness,
I think
dullness of my mind, spirit, dullness of my heart, dullness, stupidity, caught in organization,
Diet has something to do with it.
diet,
Health,
and so on, so on.
busyness, climate.
I wonder if it has anything to do with all this,
With what's it?
with the environment, diet, habits.
Well, diet has something to do with sensitivity, perhaps. The other way.
I'm just wondering if any of these are the causes of being insensitive.
Another possibility is that it's preoccupation with one's own personal problems, and therefore not giving one time or indication for other
Quite. Now if I have no personal problems, not caught in environment, not live a very sane life, balanced life and all the rest of it, will that make me sensitive? In the sense we are using that word. To be aware extensively what is happening in the world.
Not necessarily.
So what? It is not the food, it is not the personal problems, it is not the environment, it is not factual knowledge of what is actually going on in the world, and so on, so on. If I knew all that, would it be sensitive? No. So what is the?
It's being caught up in a sort of a false world, because somebody like George Wallace, for instance, could be very. He's not lazy, but he's just in this different world where he's caught up in prejudice and everything, and to him that's reality and that's being sensitive, but he just doesn't realize that there's a whole other area of
So,
life.
Mr. Wall, suppose you want to find out if one is sensitive, how would you set about it? We say all this is, even if you led most balanced life, most care, all the rest of it, surely that's not going to make you highly sensitive. What will?
Sorry, surely so one is as sensitive as one is affectionate, as one is caring, as one is...
But I'm not. So don't put it around the other way. It comes same thing. So what is the one to do? Does sensitivity depend on external environmental influence, diet and so on, or is it something entirely different?
When one is aware of being insensitive, that itself is a sensitivity. So awareness seems to be awareness of your own insensitivity is not the way that's sensitive. That is being sensitive.
Yes, but then suppose you treat that with indifference. You know, you're just in the same dead end.
But there isn't an opposite to indifference. Indifference isn't the opposite of something else. If you're sensitive to the fact that you're indifferent, you don't have to treat it any way at all.
Oh, but that means not doing something about it.
Not necessarily.
We're not passing it off.
Not necessarily. You don't. If you're sensitive, the sensitivity itself will act. You don't have to decide what to do about indifference when you have become aware of indifference. Because if you decide what to do about indifference, it has no validity. It's like saying, what will I do in order not to appear selfish or not to be...
So we come back to the same issue, which is, shall my mind become sensitive through diet, through resolving my personal problems, through becoming aware of my environment, reading about the terrible things that are happening in the world, and so on and on and on. Will the additive process make me sensitive?
It seems just the other way around.
Don't find out, sir, find out. If that doesn't do it, right, then how does it happen?
It seems to me that we think on a plane which is not conducive to being sensitive, and so we've got to change our way of thinking. Because
so you change your way of thinking, living, not smoking, not drinking, doing this and doing that. Will that make you...
No, it's not a question of saying, okay, I think this way, therefore I'm going to not think that way, think this other way, but it's trying to understand how the way you think is affecting your sensitivity. And
what do you mean by sensitive, sir? Let's approach it up the other way. What do you mean by sensitive?
well, by being aware of everything and being able to establish a communication with it, a direct communication.
Go a little bit more, sir, go into it, to be sensitive. What do we mean by that word? To have empathy, sympathy, to have a feeling for another, to pour with somebody, direct communication, direct communion, direct sense of being one with somebody, all that's...
It doesn't seem to me to be an active thing, it's more...
It implies a lack of self-consciousness.
If you see it like that, if you're sensitive to hunger, for example, don't you then feel the pain of hunger, and don't you identify yourself with it by being sensitive to it?
That is, anything that causes pain makes you sensitive. Or anything that gives you pleasure makes you sensitive.
Doesn't have to do with understanding?
I don't know, sir. You go in. I don't know.
It seems that sensitivity implies sensitivity to everything, and not just to, not putting away pain and liking pleasure or something.
Isn't sensitivity just a way of looking at everything?
Yeah, I think it has not so much to do with the object, with what's being
It's
looked at
method.
as the action of looking and feeling.
Take suffering, for example, something most of us don't want to feel, but a sensitive person has to allow that suffering in, rather has to become part of it, has to just be with it rather than pushing it aside or trying to do something about it.
I don't think that's a thing you want to be, do you? You don't want to become that suffering. You don't want to become part of it.
But what do we do to avoid it, though?
Well, then if you're sensitive to it, you can't avoid it. Is that what we're saying?
So we just now said, I'm not saying what you're saying is right or wrong, we just now said not smoking, not, all the rest of it, bit by bit, cultivating this and not doing that and so on. Will that make us sensitive? We said no. Right? Not necessary. Then what? It seems to me we are approaching it from the outside, right? From the outside to awaken the inward sensitivity, which will then be outwardly sensitive. Huh? How do you say?
If you cannot do that to make yourself sensitive, then you're left there with your insensitivity.
But it seems to me it has something to do with not labeling things and recognizing things. If you can be aware of something when it's happening without sort of putting a word on it and detaching yourself from it by using the word, then you're more sensitive and you're more aware. You're not concerned with comparing it with the past.
What exactly are you asking us?
I'm asking myself whether I can't throw all this out.
So what?
Environment, diet, or various forms of things that make me dull. In a state of explosion, there is sensitivity. Because I shatter all this, not go on bit by bit.
Of course.
Right? How am I to explode?
Well, to see what certain things are stupid. Is there no reason why I want to stop doing them?
No, I'm not. I understand all that. I don't want to go through all the regular, traditional, peeling off, or adding, taking. I want to find myself instantly sensitive. Right? Am I asking myself an impossible question?
Does it perhaps have something to do with perception, with how you see things?
Obviously.
For instance, if you could really see something, really see it, wouldn't you be sensitive to it?
Surely.
Whereas, being insensitive is not really seeing it.
That's right. That is, can I look at another without the image?
Yes.
The tree or the image of which you have projected in me or I have projected in about you, and so on, so on, so on. Throw all that aside with one gesture, explosive gesture, and be sensitive. I don't see any other way. I don't see becoming sensitive. Only be sensitive. We are saying become sensitive. I'm trying to find out how to be sensitive, not become. Right? Now, tell me how. That is, you are asking, I'm asking myself, instant perception, instant understanding, not gradually understand, gradually perceive, but to see instantly the truth of something or the falseness of something. And like those people who become communists and are very ardent about it, convince others, drag into their net thousands of people, and then go to Moscow or to Belgrade, whatever they do, and then get disillusioned and write volumes about it. But they have pulled in the others, poor suckers, into it. So why can't one see instantly what is false and what is true? That's really the problem, right? Now you tell me. What's the clue to that?
There's a sensitivity to freedom.
No, you're bringing in to become free. I don't want to become anything.
Sensitivity to everything or sensitivity to nothing? Because if you're sensitive to one thing, you're sensitive to everything.
I haven't time, right? I don't want to become, eventually become sensitive. I want that thing to take place immediately. That's all my concern is. I'm not interested how to get it, how to become it.
Do you always have enough information at any moment?
I'm not interested in information.
Well, how can you decide whether or not something's true?
So you see that just it. Do you see what is false and what is true according to information?
On some things. If you had a scientific experiment, you had a hypothesis, you might have to run 20 experiments to find out whether or not it was true. You couldn't just look at it and decide it's true.
Talking about a relationship, not about scientific things or plumbing or dentistry.
I don't know what he's done.
Sir, don't I have to be a certain way in order for sensitivity to operate? Is sensitivity a personal thing or a collective thing like intelligence? I mean, isn't
through
it like
organization of facts, which is science, right? Do I see the truth of anything?
Well,
the church, watch it, sir. The church has organized Catholicism for 2,000 years. And I am slave to that organization because I'm a Catholic. And I say that is the truth. And that's finished. So, does organization help to be sensitive, to see the truth? No, but he said just now, organization of facts.
Or information, more and more facts.
More and more and more
How
facts.
science works then is take something new and to understand it with respect to the past. We order this unknown and say, oh, it's this and this and this, and all this conclusions you reach, or experiments being good or bad, are all based on the past knowledge.
Again, I think you're replacing this, the state of mind with, like, it's not the facts that are important, it's what it's, or the organization that's important. It's the receptivity to that organization or to the facts that's important.
We're not more sensitive because we have more information, that's quite obvious, or because we have less information, we're not less sensitive. So therefore sensitivity is not a question of collecting all the material as is perhaps implied.
So it's a question of seeing. We already got to that. We
I
already
know.
got to
Either
the
we
point.
look
It's
or
a
we don't
question
look,
of
either
seeing.
we hear or we don't hear.
No, it's a question of why don't we see? Why don't we see?
Why don't
if
we listen?
If we can discuss that.
But we're talking about deciding truth and falsity.
No, we're not talking about deciding.
But that's what
No decision is entailed at all.
Perception we're talking.
Not seeing.
We are saying whether becoming sensitive is one thing and being sensitive another, right?
Sir, are you saying that sensitivity already exists? Then?
Nothing. I don't
Then we
know,
have to
sir. Look,
cultivate.
sir, becoming sensitive and being sensitive. Becoming good and being good are two different things. Becoming non-violent or being non-violent, right? They are two different things. Now, I don't want to become non-violent. That's out. Right? So I have only one thing left, which is be non-violent. Right?
Yeah, well, there's confusion there for me in that, what you say there.
Confusion?
Yeah.
How?
Well, in terms of me using nonviolence, of being nonviolent, how can I just be nonviolent right now?
If you saw the enormity or the beauty or that state of being not violent, it is there.
Yeah. No argument with that.
That's what I'm saying. But the becoming non-violent has no meaning to me.
Yeah, well, to get to the point, isn't becoming non-violent to get to the point where I see violence, and at that point.
Therefore, why don't I see the falseness of non-becoming? Of becoming, sorry. Right? I see the falseness of it. It's absurd. No? By seeing the falseness of it, am I in a state of being non-violent?
This becoming thing, sir. It's like two different towns, and I have to travel to get from one town to the other.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's becoming. From non-violence
No, not quite. This is clear, isn't it, sir?
It's quite clear. I think perhaps we're trying to find a great mystery in something which is perhaps
very simple. Very clear. I don't know what's the difference.
Perhaps there isn't the content in the question to make a whole discussion of.
No, sir. There is content
Somebody
in the sense.
Says,
I try to become good.
Yes.
And therefore I am not good.
Obviously. Wallace is trying
to
become
I will leave Wallace. Leave him alone. The becoming good is not good. Being good is good. Right? Now, find out.
Being good isn't even good.
No, forget it.
Being good is just being.
Being. Rather than become.
I'm good or he's good, we bring in also badness to prove it.
No, sir, I'm forgetting all that. Being and becoming. The being I'm talking about. How is it to be done? We've beaten around the bush enough. Of course, come to the point.
It's like somebody who says, how can I drink? I'm at the water.
No, sir.
How can I listen? How can I pay attention? How can I feel? The only thing is to do it. if we make a great big theory about it.
I'm not making a theory. I just want to, like she said at first, at the beginning of this discussion, she said, I'm indifferent. I find myself being callous. And from that all this is arisen. Then what is the question? Being insensitive.
No, that's right. What can one do, if anything?
Yeah.
Isn't she already as sensitive to see that she's insensitive than she is sensitive? Right then, when she sees she's insensitive, she sees she's callous.
But see, then sometimes we get to that point, and so then we want a motive, or we want a satisfaction or a guarantee to change. Otherwise, we would change immediately.
Well, she sees she's insensitive. Right now, she realizes she's been insensitive. She is insensitive. Then does that mean that she is insensitive when she sees that she is?
No, seeing. You're saying seeing is sensitivity.
Yes.
Quite.
Yeah, there's no problem.
So she is no longer insensitive.
No, but we were talking about indifference. That's another thing too.
The thing is, sometimes what she is perhaps saying is, sometimes I have been callous. Well, obviously, when she has been callous, she hasn't noticed it. If you notice it afterwards, you're not callous when you're noticing it. So.
All right, sir. May I put a question? Otherwise, we'll go on. May I put a question? What is the relationship between freedom and organization? Right? Is that a valid question?
Yes, indeed.
What do you say, sir?
Organization of what?
Organization.
You organize your life, you take the tram and...
The organization of society. Organization belonging to all, to be...
Because
and
organizing also means to work efficiently, to write letters properly, to have the right addresses in your address book. That's also part of organization.
Yes.
What do you mean when you say organizations?
All that.
Do you mean the kind of organization that a church...
Church, business, society, government, politics, and an organized life.
Business organization?
Organized life.
The relationship seems to be one is not the other for one. Organization is
You're
not
all
free.
too quick to me. I'm surrounded by organization, organized life, organized people. Relationships are organized. Marriage, divorce, love. Everything around me is organized, right, sir?
Yes. Love is organized.
Post office, government, delivery of milk, myself, I'm so organized. I get up every morning at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, go to the office. Everything around me is organized. In my activity, my way of life is along organized lines.
Yes.
This allows me to live the life without thinking or being sensitive to it at all.
I'm organized. Now, what is the relationship between that and freedom?
Well,
that's an interesting.
An organization is a structure, is a framework, a system of thoughts, of actions.
Yes, sir, we know what it all means.
It implies sensitivity.
So if you've got a structure, then you can't be outside the structure and within it at the same time. So that would hinder freedom because you only have freedom to move within.
Therefore, you're saying I'm to live in the system is not to be free. Then how am I to live without the system?
Would you have to live in the system?
How am I to get out? Because everything is...
You can't get out of the system.
Post office,
for God's sake, you're not... You're
electricity.
It's not a question.
The thing is to live within it and be free from it.
That's what I saw. Look, I've asked a question. Don't or reduce it, beat it all to pieces.
Go on to another one.
No, I won't go on from this. An extremely important question, this.
Okay, and the question is the relationship between organization and freedom.
Freedom. What is, can the organized mind be free ever? Or only through organized mind is there freedom?
What is the relationship? May I ask, this is important, I think, the relationship between organization and order.
No.
What is the relationship between organized mind and organization of...
Organized mind and freedom. Organized mind being government, politics, business, organized way of living, and marriage, sex. You know, organized. Everything is organized.
But is that an organized mind?
It is, sir. Because I live that way. I get up properly at 6 o'clock. Go to the office.
The question is, if it's disorderly, how can it be truly efficiently organized?
You mean the other alternative would just be totally random behavior?
I know nothing about it.
He's asking, what is the relationship?
To belong to an organization is not the same as being involved in it.
I don't know anything, sir. You people you haven't even listened to the question, sir. Before you answered, find out what is the relationship between a free man or free mind and the organized mind, structure, living in society. All this. And this is really an immense question. You can't just say, well, it's answered and get rid of it.
Organization, in the sense I think we're talking about, implies discipline, and it doesn't it? It implies discipline and it implies habit or.
So, look, sir, the whole religious life, the accepted traditional religious life, says, don't belong to society, right? Live outside it. Go to the monastery.
But that's still belonging to society.
Wait, no. Go into it, sir. Explore it.
Very good question.
And of course it is. You go into it.
The two are intimately related. One cannot exist without the other.
I don't know.
You cannot be free unless you are efficient. You cannot be efficient unless you have organization.
I won't accept any of this.
But that organization, like you're talking about right there, is different than the organization that we concluded that we were talking about.
No, we were talking about post office, society,
see how
going to the
strongly
office.
Important this is, sir.
Going to the
I don't think we are not.
Traffic rules, taking aeroplane tickets, wearing certain clothes,
coming to this meeting at a certain time.
Exactly.
The meeting is organized.
Exactly.
I don't think we really feel the impact of how much our lives are organized. We try and think of ourselves as free, and we just sort of exist in this structure, but we haven't really faced it.
You said the other day, sir, that you said that in order to be efficient, the mind must be empty. Part of the mind's efficiency is the organization which is in the structures surrounding us. For these things to work very, very smoothly and not to be noticed at all, they have to be efficient. When they are efficient, they are not an impediment, and one is free.
Yeah.
But the organization of religion is dealing...
Forget everything, sir. What was said, what was not said. We start anew.
Yes.
I want to find out what is my relationship to society when I'm seeking freedom, or when I say I must be free.
Yes. The organization he spoke about was religious organization. And the organization you were speaking about was the organization of the municipality.
I'm including, so don't divide it yet. I'm including everything. I live an organized life. Get up in the morning at a certain time, do yoga, eat, carry on, organized. And there's the organization to which I belong. The society, with all its complexity. I also belong to the church, which is organized. What to think, Jesus is the only Savior, there is no, and so on and on and on and on. Right? I am that. I'm caught in that. I live a very disciplined life. Outwardly and inwardly, in the ordinary accepted sense of the word. I'm highly respectable, highly so-called moral in this accepted term, and so my life is organized.
And we are taught that freedom comes through that organization.
And I said to myself, my God, where is freedom in this? What is the relationship between my life, which is so highly organized man, I'm an organized man, and what is freedom? Right?
This organization is a very intricate fabric of experience that I can anticipate. I know from day to day exactly what it's going to be, and that's why I'm organized. I know tomorrow I'm going to get up at a certain time. If I don't, I'll lose my job and I can't pay my rent, and so on and so forth.
So
I'm caught in it.
On and on.
Now, if it's experience that I know.
Yes, sir. Pursue it. Where am I at the end of it all? My behavior is organized, right? My thinking is organized. My education is highly organized. I live in an organized society of which I am a part. And I ask myself, what is my relationship if I am free from all this? Can I be free from it? Or is freedom something outside it? If it is outside it, then what is its relationship to this? So the Hindus, the sannyasis and the monks in India say, you must be outside it. Therefore, become a monk. You can't live in this world and be free. Follow it. Go slowly, sir. Don't be impatient yet. Go into it. And so they say, this world is an illusion. It doesn't matter so very much how you live here. And so on, so on. And they are caught in the organized belief of a certain culture. What they think is already organized, is highly respectable. The books have laid down, other people have laid down, saints have laid down how to live a life of a monk. Poverty, chastity, etc., etc. And repeat the words and follow the system, the tradition. You're highly organized. Though you may think he is free, he's still organized. Like a Christian monk, he's highly organized.
He's created a new prison outside of the other prison.
He's even related to the first prison because someone has to bring him food. So through the person who brings him food, he's related to both prisons, the prison in the monastery and the prison outside of the monastery walls.
Right? What is the relationship?
I can't say that there's any incompatibility as such between organization and freedom. It's just a question of being caught up in your organization and projecting yourself onto it.
But this organization is wrong to live this way.
Is it wrong to
I don't want to live that way.
It seems to be all right to like eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner in an organized fashion, so long as you don't become so overly involved in it that you
can't. That it's got you. Certain people.
We're not convinced
That's
that organization
confusing,
how about
isn't it?
How about eating meals a certain time of day is supposed to be good for your body, isn't
Oh no, sir, don't reduce that. I understand that, but just go into it.
It seems you're talking about two different things.
No,
when you say I don't want to live like this.
No, first, may I state my case first? I am organized. I'm an organized human being, highly respectable. I'm not, but I'm highly respectable. I say, in the world, man. Conditioned, organized, following a routine, believing, belonging to communism, socialism, Catholicism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Zen, organized, outwardly. And inwardly, I'm organized. I mustn't do this, I must do that, this is right, this is wrong, my wife says, you follow, I must, and so, I am that. And I say to myself, being so highly organized, which is a fact, it's not just a imagination, it's a fact. What relationship has freedom to this organized way of living? Which is the respectable, the habitual, the secure, non-dangerous, you follow what I mean? Millions live that way. Millions, all the world lives that way. And you come along, tell me, be free. I say, what the hell are you talking about?
In this organization, there are two different things. There is being told what to think, and there's being told how to behave. And then the other thing is, there are practical, technological things. It seems that we are not committed to being told how to behave and think, insofar as this doesn't have any practical, technological effect on the neighbor. You can't throw stones through his window. But we are committed to certain things to certain material things which we share with the rest of society. Paying taxes, driving on the right side of the road, and all these things. There are the two things in the organization you're talking about. There is the psychological thing, and there is the strictly material, practical thing.
Yes, sir. My psychological structure is also highly organized.
Is it organized on a basis of fear?
Whatever it is, it is organized. When I'm afraid, I mustn't be afraid. I must escape. I must get mad. You follow? The whole thing is, I'm an organized human being. Limited, narrow, stupid, clever, intelligent, capable in doing this and not, and so on, so on, so on. I'm there.
Highly conventional.
After all the rest of it.
But it seems that a state of disorder would not create freedom.
The question is not organization disorder, or is organization order?
But that's a fact, so first take the fact. Don't call it disorder or order. It is the fact.
And material.
To come here from Ohio, you had to follow a long time. You have to organize. You have to follow the road. You have to obey the rules of the road. Keep the certain speed, and so on and on. All your life is organized, inwardly and outwardly, right? That's a fact. Then what relationship has freedom to this organized man?
One is with fear, one is without fear.
No, sir. And I'll go into it a little more. I know that.
Well,
watch it, sir. Watch it, sir. Look, learn about it. Don't state anything yet. Don't say, well, fear and the rest of it. Just watch the thing grow under your hand.
Well, as I look at it, I tend to divide it all the time.
I don't know. There must be a way of, find out, there must be a way of living. Freedom and not division. You follow? If you divide organized life and freedom, then there's chaos.
That's not freedom.
If you say, no, I'm going to revolt against this organized man and bring disorder, that's a colossal mess.
I don't mean to divide freedom and organization. I mean to subdivide organization.
And I don't want division at all. That's why I carefully use the word. Relationship means non-division. I am related to you. That means I am in contact with you. I'm in blood relationship, to touch you, in contact with you. And there is no contact with you, there is a division. Therefore, freedom, what is the relationship of freedom to organized life? You follow, sir, now? Yes. Go into it, explore it. If you tell me, become a monk and revolt, go away, or revolt against society, I said, I won't do that. That's too silly. I don't want division, you follow? Between technological world and the world of freedom. Right?
In other words, freedom doesn't lie in avoiding the technological world.
No, I don't want division. I say the moment there is division, there is disorder. Division means separation, conflict, contradiction and all that. I don't want to live that way. I'd rather live a conventional life and forget about everything. And that's what most human beings are doing. Right? About religion, they just follow, go to church on Sunday morning, say Jesus, 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 or Krishna, 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 whatever they say, and so on. And I don't want, much better live that way, because that's the most stupid way, and the 99% are that way. So, but if, we come along and say, look, don't divide freedom from life. From the technological world, business world, post office, going to the office. Don't divide it. Find out a way to live without division.
And yet in freedom.
Find out a way to live without division. Freedom, you follow?
Sir, isn't there responsibility in freedom?
I don't know anything. Maybe or may not be. Of course there must be. I don't know. So don't ask that kind of question yet. There's a fundamental question here, issue. Without division, can I live in freedom? Right? Go to the office and be free going to the office.
Then it isn't divided, sir. Huh? If it's a matter of meeting responsibility.
I know. What do you mean by responsibility? I'm married. I'm responsible for my wife and children, right? Huh?
Yes. There's a difference between...
Go into it, sir. Responsible for my wife and children. I might die, therefore I insure my life. I insure, and so on. I become responsible.
That responsibility, there's not freedom, because in order to get insurance you have to have a certain kind of a job.
Go on, sir. So you're telling me don't get married?
No, I'm telling you that if you feel that if there's that responsibility, there's no freedom.
I don't.
Maybe that's where freedom is, in meeting that responsibility.
But say if you feel like he was saying, you have a responsibility to your wife to get insurance because if you die, then you want to be sure that she's going to be secure after you're dead and all this. Well, if you have to get that, or health insurance the same way, any kind of insurance, then you have to have a job.
Okay. That doesn't mean you're not free because you have a job.
But if you feel obligated, it seems that you aren't free. But okay, so.
You see, don't be caught by it. So don't jump into anything. Or be open. Find out. One thing, I will not live a life of division. Right? Say, I'm free inwardly, but outwardly I'm not. Can I live a life in which there is no division, in which freedom and organization go together? Or is that impossible?
You say no division, sir. Do you mean no division between freedom and organization, or no division in organization?
No division in myself about freedom and organization.
Not free in spots and organized in spots.
No.
Yes.
Integrate without conflict.
Yes, put it in a way you like. Can I go to the office and be free at the same time? Can I say, I love you, and I mean it, and be free? Not be dominated by you, or I dominate you, I exploit you sexually or physically, for 10 different ways. I am not dependent on you. So this is an immense question. You can't just brush it off. Man has been asking this question for centuries, million years.
Freedom is more a way of looking at life rather than a way of acting life.
Oh.
So it really wouldn't matter what you did.
That's the division he was talking. That's the division he said he didn't want to go into. In other words, go into the mines in Siberia and say that you're free at the same time.
No, but if you look at that in the sense of being free, there wouldn't be a question.
Sir,
you wouldn't be bound.
Can I say I'm free and be sent to Siberia?
Sure, why not?
Huh?
Vietnam?
Well,
He's saying that's freedom inside in your head, but that's not real freedom.
You have a bullet in your head.
Sir, if they packed you up and sent you to Vietnam and you couldn't do anything about it in that way, if it wasn't any choice of yours, you could still, accept it, couldn't you understand it?
I don't know. You tell me how am I to live a life in which there is not this division between organized existence and freedom. It's a very interesting question, this. Don't slip by it. I may be stating a wrong question, I may be asking a wrong question. If I'm willing to change it, correct it. Which is first, organized life or freedom to you?
Freedom. Which comes first, or which is more important?
Which is important?
Isn't that making a division?
No. It's important. I have food. It's not a division. Emphasis. Put it to emphasis.
Well, obviously, with freedom, then
what comes first?
Then organized life is, and what you do is right, correct. Then you're properly organized.
can intelligence be organized? And we say intelligence is sensitivity, right? Intelligence is freedom, intelligence is love, and so on and so on.
Mind organizes, and intelligence is something outside of mind. I mean, mind is a limiting thing, an organizing thing. You cannot organize intelligence. You cannot limit intelligence. Intelligence is a limitless thing.
Yes, sir, then what? Are we meeting each other, or are we each thinking of on our own about this? Freedom and organized way of life.
You asked the question, which comes first?
Which comes first, or which is most important, or where should one lay emphasis, which does not mean division. I lay emphasis on the garden, which doesn't mean I neglect the house.
No. Where do you start? What is the point of it?
No, watch it. I don't neglect the house in order to do the garden. I do the garden and the house. I treat this house and the garden as one, right? They are not two different things. The house is the garden is the house. I can't live without organization, obviously.
But must you be dependent upon organization?
I don't know. I'm just investigating. So I have to be organized, as we said just now. I have to get up at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or 6 o'clock. Do all the things. Go to the office. All that.
But do you depend on that for life?
I do.
Materially.
Organization.
Huh?
Isn't this again the division between psychological things and actual...
I divide it. Why do I divide it? The office and the psychological thing.
Because you can do something about one, not about the other.
Therefore, what does that mean? Go into it, don't just brush it off. What does that mean? About that which about I cannot do anything, I get organized, or not organized. That which I can do something about, I get it organized. Is that it?
You get organized about what you can't. Say the California traffic laws. I can't do anything about them. Am I organized about them? I don't understand what it means.
Yeah, I think that's his point. The organization, for example, that organization in your life about the traffic laws doesn't affect your freedom.
But that is that a psychological...
No, wait, madam. Just let's be more simple. The house and the garden are one. Right? I don't neglect the one for the other. Right? They both constitute, make up the house. Right? So it may be the same thing. Freedom and organization go together. Right? I won't separate the two. I won't say garden and the house. Right?
Yes.
So I have to find a way of living where the division doesn't exist at all. Where the garden is the house and the house is the garden. The psychological state is the outward state, the outward state is the psychological state.
That's right.
Because I refuse in myself to be divided. Because I see love is not division. So I said, by Joe, can I live a way where the house is the garden and the garden is the house? Myself, psychologically, is the office, and the office is the psychological state.
Aren't you saying then that there is only the psychological state?
No. I won't say there is only psychological state. They're both. There's both going to the office. There's this.
You're not going to change the office.
I don't. Wait. No. Don't. Wait. Don't talk about change yet.
But you know, one thing that we've talked about too is that I think we've talked about two different kinds of organization.
No, sir. Not two different. There's organization
no, in
only.
In church, there's belief. In going to an office, there's no belief. It's
Oh yes, there is. Damn luck. I'm sorry.
Okay, but
I'll tell you.
But the organization to get it.
There's nothing in the organization of the life that's going to lead you to freedom. There's nothing within the organization that leads to that freedom.
Sir, stick to one thing, sir. Don't divide. The house is the garden is the house. Don't divide it. And follow that to the end.
Krishnaji, I don't understand that as an analogy at all. You said inner and outer. Is that what you're saying about the house and garden?
Yes. The inner is the outer, outer is the inner. There are no division.
No, or are you saying freedom and organization?
Same thing, sir.
The house and the garden are organization and freedom.
Freedom.
Didn't you?
Is this all on the psychological level?
There's no psychological level and the other.
There is no psychological level and the physical. It's all one.
One life.
If I could understand that, I've solved the damn thing.
Yes. The whole thing is that in freedom one can also organize.
I don't come to that yet. Wait.
And if the freedom is the thing which is at the beginning, in that great organization, even of great complexity, is quite possible, even necessary. The freedom itself will dictate the necessity of organization. We have assumed perhaps that there is a contradiction between organization and freedom.
That's what I want
to... If we start with the freedom...
Keep to one thing little, not enlarge it. We may have misunderstood freedom and organization. It may be that they both go together.
How can you talk about laying emphasis on one?
Forget what
our
very
that bodies word. Are highly organized.
Forget the word.
If they're not organized, they're
forget
not
the word. So he's gone. Forget the word and come on. Leave the word alone.
Our bodies are organized. Tremendously so. If our pulse is a little bit crooked, we are not free anymore. And similarly, the life around us is, as it were, an extension of our bodies. And the similar harmonious organization of that would seem to be quite essential.
So, yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if it's free. You know, we just if we're not organized, we just don't exist. There may be no. I mean, there may actually be no freedom.
Sir, look, sir. Can you find out how to live without division? As we said, the outer movement of life is created by the inner movement of life, right? We have separated, but they are related to each other. The one can't exist without the other. The outer is created by the inner structure of psychological state, greed, envy, fear, that creates the outer, and the outer then controls the human being. So it is interrelated. The two cannot be separated. I am the world is me. That's an anyhow, that is so. Now I say to myself, freedom and organization. They are I won't divide it. I won't say freedom inwardly, outwardly no freedom. We live in a concentration camp and be free. I said that's lovely.
Or free on Sundays.
That's all too damn silly.
I'm saying the reverse, that if one is physically compelled or put in a concentration camp, that freedom is impossible.
No. To be in a now you see, don't take the examples yet, please.
If you're free to start with.
Can I live in this world
and be free?
And be free? And not divide freedom and living in this world. Which means I'm in contradiction then, in myself. Freedom I'm seeking and I'm in a prison. In being free, I may have to alter the outward environment. Not revolt against it, change it. Change the morality of society, which is immoral. Anything respectable is immoral. Everyone, is that all right?
Yes.
So I want to find a way of living in which there is no division. And relationship means that. No division.
If you are the world and the world is you, and if let's consider that there is organization in the world and you are that and you understand that.
Yes, sir. Pursue it. Pursue it.
Let's say that you.
I have helped to create the war.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I am responsible for the war in Vietnam.
Yes. So if you come to the realization of what freedom is, and you know that there's no division between you and the world, then when you become free, doesn't the world reflect? Isn't that reflected in the world? And
no, sir. Wait a minute, sir. Look, take that word. I am responsible for Vietnam because I live a way of life which leads to war.
Yes.
Obviously. Nationalistic, sovereign government, army, navy, my country, your country, all that contribute to war. Right? And as long as I belong to that organized way of my nation, my country, your country, and my God, your God, and all the rest of it, Vietnam is inevitable.
Yes.
Unless I change, this will go on. Right?
Yeah.
So I change. I say, no, I'm not a Hindu, I'm not a Christian, I'm not out with all that bilge. And I talk about it, I write about it, preach about it, teach, you follow? And I may prevent Vietnam, because I'm not responsible then for it.
No.
Though I may buy a stamp and pay tag, I am really inwardly and outwardly, I'm not helping to create war. Now, here is a deeper problem, a different problem of the same kind. I want to live a life which is inevitably and must be organized, otherwise there's disorder, chaos. Not that disorder is this organization is order, it's chaos now.
It's already disorder.
Disorder. I want to live a way of life where there is organization and freedom. They're not two different things.
Well, now you say this organization now, as it exists, is chaotic.
It is chaotic.
Well, that's what I meant, that this organization you talked about earlier is different than the organization of freedom.
I don't, no.
Start with the freedom. Find the freedom and then find out how a free man lives.
Not how to find out first, sir. No, please do listen to it. It's fairly simple what I'm stating. This organized society in which I am living now is disorder, full stop.
So it's not organized.
Wait.
It's organized disorder.
Organized disorder it is now.
Organized disorder.
As it is now.
Or imperfect.
So there's
Doesn't
organized
matter,
disorder
organized.
and there's organized order.
No, I don't know anything about organized order. I am disorganized entity. I'm living in a disorganized society. And I say to myself, is it possible to live together in relationship, in freedom, and yet organized so that there is no disorder? That's all. This question is fairly simple.
The free mind sees what organization makes sense and what organization is destructive and doesn't make sense.
Yes.
It's also possible to belong to an organization like a government without being nationalistic. I mean, I can live in a government and obey the laws that have to be obeyed, like driving on the right-hand side of the street, but not become so involved and project myself into it so that I become
So without
nationalistic
having
and
pride
glorified.
and all that.
So you're dividing, aren't you?
When you're choosing between different organizations, you mean?
If you're free at the beginning, being free, you can be efficient. You must be efficient. The dictates of efficiency will create an order, part of which...
So you're jumping to a conclusion. Now you're saying first, I want to live with organized way of life which is orderly, not disorderly as it is now, and be free at the same time. That's my issue, not how to change the disorganized society, which is etc., all the rest of it. I know, that's not, if 10 of us or 100 of us say, look, let us live organized life which is not disorderly and be free, we can change this society, talk about it, write about it, shout about it.
If you could live that way without self identifying with the organization,
so
then
so you are saying, sir, division exists as long as there is the self.
Yes.
That's all you're saying, right?
We were talking about the freedom, sir. Now you've brought in division.
Well, I said, to us, life is fragmented. I am this, I am that, I am,
I mean, we made a division between freedom and organization.
Yes, that's all.
Perhaps this division doesn't exist.
It doesn't. That's a speculative idea.
Being free, I can also organize.
I don't know. I mean, if you say you are free, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
But if one is free, it doesn't mean to say that one is necessarily not going to organize anything.
Of course not. That would
One
be
can
absurd.
organize one's day, one's...
No, sir, just come back to the point. Can I live without division between organized life and freedom? Don't suppose anything, don't formulate anything, come to any conclusion, but see what is involved in it first. Right? What is involved in this question, not just verbally, but inwardly, what's involved in it? Belonging, being committed to, accepting what is, and revolting against it, and calling that freedom. And the other, which is the really so-called religious attitude, which is the world is a sin or horrible or whatever it is, go to a monastery and live there wedded to Jesus or Mother Maria, can't be wedded to Maria, and so on, so on, so on.
So freedom isn't something which we can define. Perhaps we should ask rather what is not freedom.
No,
instead of asking what is freedom.
No, I said no, we can go into all that. I'm trying to say.
When am I not free?
When I'm much. Can I live a life in which there is no division at all? As the outer and the inner. Which doesn't mean I float, you follow what I mean, on some kind of vague, nonsensical, mystical state, but actually not to have this division. The water goes out and water comes in. Or, the sea goes out, the sea comes in. The water doesn't say, I'm going out, I'm coming in. It is water.
This division...
Find out.
I am. It seems that division is in the mind, because we said before that the inner is related to the outward. There's nothing we can do about it. So you don't have to. That's a fact. The outward is related with the
said,
inward.
what will you do? How will you live a life, actually not theoretically, every day, in which there is not this division?
See, but what I'm getting at is the division is in. We're gonna have to control.
I don't know what you will do. Go into it. Put a screwdriver into it. Go step by step into it. Find out how to live it. Not theorize about it.
Well, I wasn't theorizing about it.
No, I understand, sir. I understand what your point is. You're saying the mind divides.
Because and that we've seen, like you say, how we see the division does not exist. In fact, it does not exist. Because if I'm violent, then.
But sir, that's how we live.
I know. What I'm saying is that.
What he's saying.
If we get rid of this division, the division isn't.
It is not. You're saying there's no division. In fact, the water is the same in and out.
I understand, sir. Now.
So it's how we're looking at it.
Yes, but I am caught in this division. I'm a human being, not superhuman being. I'm a human being caught in this beastly division. Me, my wife, me and my office, me and my children, me and my country. You follow? Me and my God, me and my ambition. I am that. Fragmented everlastingly. And we have introduced another new fragmentation, which is organization and freedom, right? And I say, what a horror again. Bringing another division. I say, is there a way of living in which there is no division between freedom and organization? Like the water that goes out and the water comes in. It never talks about freedom, you follow, organization. So, can I live a way of life in which there is no division, which means to be related? If I'm related to that, to the world, to people, there is no division, you follow? Which means love. Can there be love without? No. You follow? To love is not to be divided. Right? Now, live that way. Right? Live it. So this is an immense problem, you understand? It isn't just a... I'm married. Can I live a life with my family and not divide my love? My wife. You understand, sir?
Yes, I do.
And be completely impersonal and personal about the wife. Right? See, organization makes monsters of us. Catholic monsters or business monsters. Can we go a little bit from there?
Yes.
Now, how am I to live that way? Not how. I'm asking the how, not the system, not the way, but find out the way of living it. Right? Can we use the word meditation here? No. To find out the way, a way of life in which there is no division. There must be deep meditation, mustn't there? It isn't just I jump from one to the other, conclusion after conclusion. I must find out. To find out, I must meditate, go into it. I must ponder over it, I must look at it, I must smell it, I must taste it, I must love it, I must question it, doubt it. You follow? Let it flower. Right? So which means I must give soil for that flowering. The soil for that flowering is meditation. Right? Now we're doing it, are we now? So it means I don't come to any conclusion at any time. Because I'm learning, I'm exploring, I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm listening. And what happens? Right? Then one can say, I don't know how to live non-divided life, but I am living a non-divided life. I wonder if are you catching?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
I wonder. Huh?
I don't understand exactly how you're asking, how that question is being
I don't know. So a man who is learning, meditating, going, he never says, I've learned.
That's right.
But he's learning. Therefore, the very learning is the way of living. Right? I'm learning a way of life in which there is no division. Therefore, I'm learning. Don't ask me, are you living?
Or have you discovered how
Have you discovered how to live?
Do you have an answer?
Huh? You follow?
There's no recipe.
And go, wait, sir, don't jump to anything. You follow what's happening. I mean, if I say, well, I've found it, I know how to love without division, my God.
It becomes another organization.
I mean, do you know what I mean? It's so silly. Even to put it that way is silly.
And the learning process.
No, don't even say that. You see? The learning is going to dictate the way I live. Not having learned, I live. So I'm the learning about a way of life in which there is no division. That learning is going to show, is going to act, not me, not anything. Learning is going to act.
And that learning has no division.
I don't know. You find out, so meditate, go, you see you want to put into words, go into it. Meditate, sit quiet with it, let it flower. Don't pull the root to see what is happening.
If we're not using words, what are
No, don't go off, sir. Don't go off. Your words are only meant to communicate. Now there is nothing to communicate for the moment. So don't pull the seed out to see if there is anything. It has put roots out. Leave it alone. Go into it. Flow with it. All that you are concerned is to find a way, to learn a way of life in which there is no division, freedom and organization. And also, learning is going to dictate. Learning is going to tell you how to live. Right? Learning will act, not a conclusion and an action.